Cool. So hello guys, thank you for being here and welcome to this International Grad Intern panel organized by the CSE Society. First of all, I'd like to thank our lovely sponsors who've taken time to come here for the event today and share their advice with all of us on how to crack internships, especially for international students. So first of all, I'd like the sponsors to introduce themselves. I'll just go in the order they're visible on my screen. First of all, Livia, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Livia. So I'm currently part of the video team at Canva as a front-end engineer. I started off as an intern last year and then I joined as grad. I was also a UNSW student previously.
That's lovely to know, Olivia. Thank you. I'm pretty sure our students have a lot of questions for you. Next up, Victor, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Victor. I am currently the software platform engineer at Revolutionise Sports. I used to study in the University of Wollongong about 2 or 3 years ago, and now I'm working at Revolutionise Sports. So yeah, nice to meet you all.
It's lovely to have you here, Victor. Thank you. Next up, Jessica, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Jessica. I'm currently working at Jane Street in Hong Kong. And I was also studying at the UNSW. I was studying software engineering and I graduated in 2019.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm sure our students have a lot of questions for you. Selena, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Selena. I'm currently a software engineer at Google. I joined Google last year and I graduated from UNSW like several years ago. So nice meeting you all.
Thank you, Selena. So as you can see, we have some amazing representatives from some of the top companies that everyone looks up to. And I hope that you guys use this opportunity to ask them as many questions as you have and clear any doubts regarding interviews, resumes, CVs, anything. So as you can see on the screen, this is the Slido link that we'll be moderating to pose questions to our representatives. So you can go on this event and post any questions that you have. You can ask the questions to specific representatives, or you can also ask general questions. We'll see which ones have the most upvotes, and we'll decide according to that. Secondly, if for some reason you can't access the Slido event, then you can also post your questions in the Zoom chat, and we'll try our best. All the CSE Society people will try their best to moderate the chat. So first off, just to start, I'll take up the highly upvoted question in the Slido, which is obviously a general one, which I want to know as well, which goes by, what are the main challenges that you faced while you were job hunting as an international student in the university? So I'll just open it to the panel and anyone who wants to take it. Livia, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'll go first. With the main challenges, there are definitely companies out there that doesn't accept international students. But aside from like my visa status or like my international student status, I don't see any other challenges, especially if you're applying for like a software engineering role. They look into more of your experiences and skills. So it's always like keep on applying and don't compare your experience with people who's not international student, because there is less pool of roles for you.
I think that's lovely advice, to just keep on going and never forget that there are a lot of opportunities out there. Does anyone else want to share their insight on this question? Jessica, maybe? I saw you nodding and agreeing with Livia.
Oh no, definitely what Livia said. I don't think there are any more extra challenges that you face as an international student, because as Olivia said, usually software engineering roles, mostly they're interested in your programming skill, your software engineering skills, not really what visa you're on. Although some companies don't hire you for visa purposes. I guess another thing is that as an international student, most of the time, English is not your native language. So it might impact you in some ways. It might just be, hey, I'm a bit too scared getting interview, or like I'm just scared of talking to other people. But if you're comfortable with it, I don't think you have like less chance than a local student.
Right. Again, I think that's a great piece of advice, not to sort of pin yourself down just because of your English skills, because that's not something that makes you a great software engineer or makes you a worse one. Does Victor or Selena have anything to say?
Me? So I mean, I came to Australia pretty early, like a long time ago. English is definitely one of the problem. But I think also some big companies, yeah, like Jessica previously mentioned, some big companies doesn't really mind about this visa problem for internship. So for example, Google does take international students for internship and grad role for the technical roles. So yeah, so depends on the company, I think, but there should be plenty of opportunities out there.
Right. So just sort of reiterate on what all of our sponsors have saying. People, do not think that opportunities are less for you. Just go for them and do your best. So now we'll probably move on to the next question. And Selena Jiang, do you want to take it?
Yeah, thank you, Yuval. So the second most popular question is, where can I find companies that hire international students? Because sometimes we can look through like the job posts on LinkedIn or Seek. They'll say like only Australian PRs or residents can apply. So I'm wondering like if you all have any experience trying to find the target companies that can hire international students?
I can take this one away. So apparently, like Selena said, you can filter out all of the jobs opportunities that when they say, yeah, this one is only limited to Australian citizen or Australian permanent resident, then I think it's not a great idea to go into those opportunities. But for me, with the internship, I started with actually my own university. They have this program. It is actually integrated into one of the, I guess it's like a program that is integrated into a course, right? So I can gain credit from that. And then they introduce me to some host companies. They're willing to take me in. When I finish the internship, I can get the credit for that course, which is contributed towards my degree, and I can gain the experience as well. So it's all about branching out, getting into as much programs as possible, because there are plenty of opportunities for international students as well. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Other than all the job boards, just look into external opportunities within your university or even outside of your uni. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Victor. So you are saying that you took some courses relating to getting career experience at university.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good point. I wanted to point out is that at UNSW, we have like industrial training for engineering degree. So like the engineering students are meant to take industrial training like to get real industry experience. And I would like to give another advice is that just like Victor mentioned, like go to the career boards to see like what chances are up there and then just apply for it. Thank you, Victor. So if anyone else wants to go next.
Yeah, I can go next. So with this question, I always tell everyone to like start where you are. For example, like now that all of you in like CCSOC, that's a very good start, because a lot of companies actually go to CCSOC and have sponsored events, and they're more than happy to take in everyone who has the skills to take in the roles. Another thing is also being organized. I know that there are a lot of roles out there, but all you have to do is just being organized and filter out which one has international students, like which one's capable of taking in international students. There are also many startups who's happy to take in like an international student status. So yeah, you just have to like keep an eye on it.
Thank you, Olivia. So you just mentioned that there are many CSE SOC events that are sponsored by like very large companies. So so you mentioned to us like you were like one of the member of CSE SOC, right? So what kind of events you joined like when you were at USW?
When I was at UNSW, I was once part of like careers, which is really good because you get to talk to like all of the career sponsors. So that's like one thing. Apply for subcoms. It's really good to meet like your seniors, like people who's been in uni, people who's been applying before you, and just for like ask for their spreadsheet. I did that, and they give you like, oh, these ones accept international students in which date. So that's one thing I did. Another thing is, there are a lot of panels as well, and there's a lot of barbecues. So I joined the Facebook page for CSE SOC, and I see which sponsor that I'm interested in, and I go to them. And every time there is like any talk or like any tech talk or any barbecue, just go up to the reps and ask them questions, learn about the roles.
Yeah, thank you, Livia. So it seems like go to the barbecue sponsored by large companies is a great way to networking. Yeah, thank you. So does anyone else has any other insights about this question?
Can I add in another idea for it? So
Yeah, sure.
there's another way to expand your network as well, which is actually really close to you when you're still a student. You can build a really good relationship and connection with your own, course coordinator, your own lecturer, or your own tutor, because some of them might have really good relationship with some companies that they can introduce you to with some job opportunities or internship. So yeah, build a really good connection with them. And another point is that lots of startups, they tend to not really care if you are international or if you are local student or not. So yeah, if you feel like big companies are not for you, or maybe that's not a great start, then just go for startup, because most of them, they have really good opportunities for learning. So you can go there. You don't just do your own job, you can learn a lot from like a really all-rounded thing. So yeah, that's great opportunity as well.
Thank you so much, Victor. So keep a good relation with your course coordinator, tutor, and lecturer.
Yeah.
And try to get into startup instead of just wanting to go one shot into like the large company. Thank you so much. And I just saw Jessica wanted to speak up. Yeah, I just wanted to add, friends are also a great network. So most of the time, I bet we all have international student friends also, and they probably have internship experience as well. And we can always exchange experience, right? Oh, I interned at this place, it's great, you should apply. So it's not only just websites and everything, because there are a lot of times where jobs isn't, how do you say, aren't that easy to find. They're maybe hidden somewhere, and then your friend might, I don't know, work at a startup, and then they like it, and then you might want to join them. So don't forget your friends. Yeah, so friends are a way to find hidden jobs. Thank you for the tip for that. Let's pass to Yuval to ask next, like to share about next question.
Thank you, Selena, for that.
Sorry,
amazing.
just to add an amendment to the last question, there will be a list of companies that accept international students to be published soon on CSE social media. And then to get this released very soon, we'll probably send you email with a Google Excel link that has all the companies in Australia and overseas that accepts that you do not need to worry about your visa restriction and so on and so forth. So please check on that if this is something of interest. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and just as a follow-up to that, shout out to our amazing Cecilia. She's taken time to compile a list specifically for first year and second year students as well, because some freshmen and sophomore students might think that there are not enough opportunities, but that's not the case. So we'll talk about that later, and you can check it out on the CSE Society channel. So next question that I see highly upvoted on Slido is directed specifically to Jessica. So Jessica, they want to know what is the culture and day-to-day life as a software engineer at a company like Jane Street?
Okay, I'll start with day-to-day first. So day-to-day as a software engineer at Jane Street varies team to team. So for example, some of the teams have support roles as well. So they kind of have rotational. This week you're on the support, so you need to come a bit earlier, kind of help people if they have any problems with your systems, and then you can obviously go home earlier as well. My team doesn't have much of support. We usually just do during the day support, and it's not that much, and it's usually like we just work as normal and something comes up and we just help them. So well, a day for me is usually breakfast and then looking at the lunch menu. The company provides lunch for us, but if you don't like the lunch, you can order food. So that's my morning routine. No one can bother me for that one. And then I'll start reading my emails, start working on my project, and then around 12, go for lunch, play ping pong. Can't skip that one as well. And then I'll start working on my project again. And then maybe during the day, have some chat with other people, maybe thinking about more of the project with other teams. And then around 6 p.m., I go home. So it's usually around 9 to 6. In terms of culture, I guess what I want to say is that everyone here is super helpful, and they're willing to answer literally anything. You can talk to them about literally anything. It doesn't need to be specific to software engineering. We have a lot of random chat about random things, like how to be a chess grandmaster. It's just a lot of random things, and then it's a fun environment to work in because there's no pressure. It's not like, oh, you need to be super software engineer kind of just conversation. And then we're pretty flat. I'm not saying that there's no managers or anything, but it feels like just because they're your manager's manager doesn't mean you can't talk to them. You can just freely talk to them, have a chat, and as if it's just another person. And then with interns as well, I feel like when I was an intern, I feel like I was treated just like anyone else. So it's pretty cool. It's not like just because you're an intern, you're a lower class in a sense, but you're just like anyone else. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So long story short, being a software engineer is like helping people around, having good food, having great conversations with friends. So people, you hear software engineering is not about sitting at your desk all day. Don't look at the memes. That's not the true story. If you want to get into a good company, be a fun person, give your best, and that'll get you there.
Yep.
So before we move forward, I'd like to introduce Afshin as well. Thank you, Afshin, for taking our time from busy schedule. So Afshin is a representative from Google, and I'll just let him introduce himself briefly before we move on to the next question.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yep. Hi, my name is Afshin. I'm a software engineer at Google. I joined Google about a year and a half ago, and I was an international student as well. And yeah, we'll talk about it with the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Afshin. So just moving on to the next question. First of all, we're great to have you here, and we'll be sending questions your way. So just to move forward, Selena, do you want to take the next question?
Yes.
Selena Jiang.
So this is the question specifically to Google representatives. So yeah, thank you, Ashley, to join. So does Google employ new grad international student, or do they only offer a position after you have several years experience?
As far as I know, Google offers international interns as well, but this is for technical roles. I think there is a limitation for the business roles, I think. But I'm quite sure for software engineers, there are heaps of interns positions available.
Yep. So Selena, do you have anything to add on? Thank you, Afshin.
No worries.
Yeah. I think it might be for interns and new grad roles, if I got it right. But yes, for software engineering role, it's fairly flexible. I think it's fairly easy to apply.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So there are many technical roles for internships. They are open to international students, but business roles, there may be some limitations. Thank you so much. So Yuval?
So thank you for the lovely answers. And so the next highly upvoted question is directed to Victor. Victor and the panelists want to know that to work in a company like Revolutionise Sport, do you have to know anything about sports in general?
That's a really good question. So if you know something about sport, yeah, that'll be a good start. So you can, well, kind of understand how sports work, and that'll be like a good head start, but it's not compulsory. Because in here you will pretty much learn everything that you don't know. We don't expect you to be here and you have to know it all. That's not really the case, because we'll have some really extensive training. So anything that you're still not sure, you still feel vague, or explain it to you in a really clear way until you can get it. So it's a really fun and great environment to work in. It's kind of similar to how Jessica described Jane Street. So in here, yeah, we are really open to each other. Everything is really transparent. And we tend to not take things too seriously, and we try to have a really good, like, a team dynamic by openly sharing with each other. Once in a while, we'll have some great team activity, so that we can, build a bond and, build greater connection with each other. So yeah, it's a really great environment to work in. And you don't, sport is not compulsory, but if you know something about sport, yeah, that'd be great.
Right. Yeah, obviously. I think that's some relief to students who do not play sports but want to get into Revolutionise Sport.
Oh, you're welcome.
So thank you, Victor. So next question, Selena, do you want to take it?
Yeah, thank you. So this is a question to all the panelists. Did you run into any hidden issues as an international student? Like we just mentioned the English, like the language barrier. So any other hidden issues?
That's a good one.
I can talk about that. And issues is, I think it's a strong word. I would say challenges. The reality is that as an international student, you're probably not 100% familiar with the work culture in Australia. So within the first couple of months, as you enter any working environment, you have to learn that. And this is, for me personally, was a bit challenging.
Thank you. Does anyone else?
Yep, I'm gonna add something to it. So with Afshin, it's formed in the workplace. I think as an undergrad, when I moved to Australia, that's really the first time when I spoke English more than like few hours a day, besides my English class. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge to communicate with the local students when you first started at uni. But it was no longer a problem for me at work, because I made friends. I did group projects with the local students in uni. So it's kind of like I already got used to it. So, but it was a bit difficult at the start.
Yep, thank you.
Can I also add that, like, based on my experience, once you already get your foot on the door, like, based on my experience at Canva, where they really cater the experience for international people, there are so many international, like, roles and people who's from, like, all over the world in the company that you don't feel like international anymore in there. And there's always, like, all different clubs that you can meet people from where you are from, to cater, and makes it feel like, doesn't even feel like there's any challenges or issues.
But it's always like the first step that's very difficult. But once you're in the company, it's less.
Thank you, Olivia. Selena Fang, did you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I think cultural barrier is one of the challenge that I faced earlier. So I think in different cultures, we communicate differently and express ideas in different ways. Sometimes you might feel like maybe a certain thing is not really suitable to say or mention to your team or manager, but maybe in other cultures they expect you to express this explicitly, otherwise they are not super clear. So it's really important to understand the company culture or just like your team culture, and find a place to feel yourself in there. Yeah, it would be really important for like career development or planning your future goals.
Yep. So thank you. Victor, do you have anything to add on that?
No, not really. Yeah, everything has been mentioned so far.
Yep.
So
No worries. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. So just like a conclusion, so as Afshin and Selena mentioned, we need to fit in the company's culture. When we need to certain things need to be mentioned to the team or like your director. And Jessica said that she did a lot of project with local friends. So maybe the language barrier is not as serious when you go into the workplace. And I really envy Livia's workplace because it's a very welcoming culture that you are not international anymore. So yeah, that's all. Thank you so much. And then let's Yuval.
Yeah, thank you, Selena. The next question is something that I sort of ponder myself every day as well, which is definitely not a surprise that people want to know. And the question is, what are the average WAM requirements for landing an internship in a company like yours? So anyone wants to start? Come on, guys. This is what
I
we
can
want.
start first. In my cohort for Canva internship, it's a variety. It's a variety from like 50 to 100. I definitely don't have like a good WAM. So not in Canva, they don't look at your WAM that much.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I can speak from Google side. I think there is no lower band, if I'm right, for the WAN. But reality is when your packet goes for the hiring committee, they look at everything you did, like how you were in the interviews, how your CV compares to the others, and obviously the WAN is playing a pretty important role in your CV. My point is, you can, if you don't have, let's say, 100% scores, you can always somehow put other capabilities in to cover that.
Definitely. Anyone else?
And for me, because I've been working for startups mostly, they don't really look at WAM as the only indicator to see whether you are a good fit to the role or not. So again, it's all about how you present yourself in the interview, in the test, in the technical exam. Yeah, it's all about you, like who you are, what your capability, what your capacity, and it's about how can you fit in with their culture. So I'm not saying you can just I'm not saying you can just forget about WAM and don't do a good mark on it, but it's all about our company model is all about hire for fit and train for skills. So as long as you can fit in perfectly, then yeah, later on it'll be a great opportunity to develop your own skills, and yeah, that's it for me.
I have something to add.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I agree on the idea that the WAM is not the most important thing. I mean, in the end, it's more about like what kind of project you've been working on and what role you've been playing in your previous projects, and you know how suitable are you with this potential role. But then in the end, if everything, like if you have another competitor that have exactly the same, you know, package that you have, it probably come down to the difference in the WAM. Like, but that would be like at the very final stage, if it happens that there's someone that's exactly same as your experience.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Jessica, go ahead.
Oh yeah. For Jane Street, we're kind of in the same realm with Revolutionise Sports, in a sense that we don't only see the marks, we definitely see what other projects you've done, like what things you have done in the past, and then what degree you're in. It's not just all about the numbers. It's not just about getting 100 or an HD in that. But me personally, I think WAM, you can't say it's not important. So like what Victor said, it's not like you can just ditch it and just whatever. Chances are if your WAM is higher, it's not like exactly true, but it means that you're hardworking and you want to learn about things and you just don't ignore it. So I think that also shows that some good quality about you as well. It's not like you need to get 100 in everything, but if you actually spend effort, then you end up getting a good one. And then I think that's just a good approach to have, just being hardworking in a lot of things. And like what Stina said as well, I think especially in big companies, um, like super gigantic companies where they get a ton of resumes every year, I think it's pretty hard for them to not kind of scan it or something, right? It's impossible for them to go through every single thing. So I think WAM can be just an indicator. Oh, this person's doing that. So there is some importance in having a good WAM, but it's not like everything you need. You need to have like
Thank you, Jessica. I think the answer to this question is sort of relieving for a lot of students. And just to summarize it, so just because you have a bit of a low WAM doesn't necessarily mean that you're low on skills, and that is not something that the companies judge you by. But definitely, if you have a higher WAM, that is a very good indicator of you being a good and a hardworking student. So get those HDs, people, work hard, and the higher you get, the better. So next question, Selena.
Thank you, Yuval. So next question is assigned to Victor. Specifically, what is the most fun thing you have worked on?
I mean, there are so many fun things I've worked on in Revolutionise Sport. That's a lot. Okay, so because we are sort of like a startup, actually we still are a startup. So there are a lot of projects that so for example, there's one that's called this one called Refund. So this one is all about, you know, rebuilding the way we refund our clients, our members. What's fun about it is that I have a chance to be in charge of like a massive project that goes on for months. We're actually with the help of a lot of other engineers as well. So this is a project where communication has been like the main focus. So if we don't, you know, communicate, if we don't discuss about it, then there's no way we can move forward. What's good about this project is that because of this, I feel like I've, you know, built a greater connection with other team members as well. So it feels like we understand each other better from, you know, not just from the technical aspect, but from I guess that just from I wouldn't say emotional aspect, but yeah, it's just a project that really, you know, get each other every team member together. So yeah, that's great. So even during the last day of the migration, so it's like, you know, the big day, everyone get there together, all hands on deck, and I just feel like that was such a great experience I had so far. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yep, thank you, Victor. So this is a project that is a great connection to build up like the relationship within with other team members as well. So yeah, really appreciate it. And I thought like every company will have very interesting projects that you can work on, not only Revolutionise Sports. Yeah, so thank you so much. So Yuval, maybe you can go next.
Yeah, thank you, Selena. So I'm loving this discussion, not gonna lie. So moving on to the next question. This is again something that I think a lot of international students feel. And so the question is that as an international student, I feel that I sometimes get overlooked for the job market as compared to local students, and also when it comes to internships. So is this something that you guys felt as well? And do you have any tips on how to change it or how to get past it? Oh, could you guys hear the question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify a little bit, like, did you have any like any experience that you think you are like similar skills with some local students perhaps, but you didn't get into it? Or not at all?
I can say something about it. So I don't think I have any personal experience in that, but I can see that something similar will happen. Say you have the exact same thing as another person, you work on the same projects, you have the same marks, whatever. But then why did he get an interview but not me? Some of like a lot of the times it comes also with your resume. I think if you're not doing your resume well, it might be something that is impacting it. So just make sure you run grammar stuff on that. Make sure that every punctual, is it called punctuation, right? Yeah, I think it actually matters. It's not just all the marks and the projects, like all of them. CV is also important because it's where you present it in the first place to the employers. But I think aside from that, don't remember that you can also search jobs outside of Australia. So it doesn't always need to compete with local students. If you, I don't know, find a job in the US, in Hong Kong, then you no longer will feel that, oh, I feel I'm overlooked with other local students. So everyone is international, right?
Yeah, I can add to that. Look, there are some companies that they have internal policies to only get local students or local employees. You can't change those. This is something that you can't change. But if in terms of do you get overlooked or not, this is something that I cannot comment on that because I wasn't a local, so I can't say yes or no. But what I can comment on is the fact that if you improve your CV, if you make your CV to stands out, then you wouldn't get overlooked at all. Like doing some I don't know, coding competitions, having good marks and everything like that, stuff that makes your CV stands out, that would actually help a lot.
Yeah, I can so add a bit on that. So in my previous job, I have been doing interviews, so I've been looking at tons of resumes. So I mean, I guess this is a feeling that when you were a student, you were worried that, how do I find a job in the market? But then when you actually join the workforce, there's a lot of recruiters out there looking for headcount, looking for engineers, and there's a lot of companies looking for new grads or new engineers. And when your resume really lands in the recruiter's inbox, it's like whether you're a local student or not, it's not the only difference you have between you and other candidates. It's also about your previous experience, what languages you've known, and how what kind of experience you've been through, really. If in the end like I've mentioned, if in the end the only difference is whether you're local or not, then yeah, if the company accepts only local students, maybe that's bad luck. But it's just that people are so different on the market, and it's just so many things that can so many different factors that people take into account. It's not just this visa or not. So try applying for so if you know companies that only take local students, maybe not bother trying very really hard. But then if for other companies that have more flexibilities, then that's really not the most important thing to worry about, I think.
Right. Thanks a lot, Selena. Does anyone have anything else to add? So I think that's pretty much that pretty much answered the question. So just to summarize, even though there might be companies that only look for local students, and that might be because of the visa restrictions or some regulations from the government, there are tons of other opportunities and companies out there who would love to take international students. And the amazing people on the panel here are sort of a live example and a proof for that. So keep working on your resume and keep building those skills. Something good will come for you. And so on that positive note, I hope, let's move on to the next question, Selena.
Thank you, Yuval. So the next top question is, what advice do you have for international students overseas right now? Since last year, Australian government locked down and then closed the border. Many international students are still stuck overseas, and they couldn't make it to here. So do you have any advice on that? I mean, maybe how to prepare for finding an internship in Australia, because there are limitations. We only want to seek internships, the applicants who are currently in Australia. So they can't make it here now, but once they can get here, they can try to apply for those companies. So if there is any preparation they can make beforehand.
I have a little story to share.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a friend who also graduated from USW. He has got his offer in another semi-big company, and then before he start on his very first day, he got locked down in China. So the company ended up having to send the laptop all the way to China to him. I mean, during COVID, I think it is, definitely not the best time to join a new company. Not to mention that you have to probably do onboarding, virtually maybe, but it doesn't stop you from, doing more, for example, lead code questions or, keep up to speed with your, your English communication and all that kind of things, and also keep applying for jobs. During pandemic, it's not just that the students are trying, we engineers are trying to look for jobs. It's also companies are looking for candidates. It's also quite hard for them as well. So don't think that don't do anything now. Still trying. I would encourage. I think that would be my advice.
Yeah,
I can add to
thank
it.
you. Yeah.
So I think if the reason of why you can't get internship in Australia is because they're looking for people who are currently in Australia, and obviously you can get visa and so on. You can also try finding internships in your country or wherever you're stuck at, right? So if you get locked down in China, maybe you're consider taking an internship in China or wherever you are, basically. There are definitely also countries that accept people more willingly. Well, I can give you an example. At Jane Street, currently we have interns at Singapore actually in our office. So we fly them over and then they need to do the quarantine and stuff, but that's all right. We send them laptops so they can work in the hotel. And then now they're in the office and they'll come back to Singapore in a few months. So I think it's important to think, it's important to also see that Australia is not everything in a sense. And especially for internships, you're not locking yourself for like years and years of work in a country that you don't know before, potentially. But internships are usually 3 months, so it's fine to explore different places, different countries. And who knows, you might end up like, don't lock yourself into just Australia. I think looking at other countries is also a possibility.
Yep, thank you, Jessica. Livia, do you have any advice?
Yeah, I really agree with Jessica. So even if you're overseas, it's really important to work on yourself and work on upskilling yourself. So if your goal is to apply for jobs in Australia now, then it's a good time for you to still upskill yourself with your personal projects or like with companies within your own country. Another thing is like keep working on your network. Just because you're in a different continent or country doesn't mean you should stop networking. There's like there is a lot of places where you can like keep on talking online or virtually. So still build your network within Australia, even though you're like somewhere else. And like lastly, luckily, a lot of the day-to-day operations now are run online. That means that your interviews can still go on online and it's still possible to like work virtually. So keep on applying, keep on searching for like a remote friendly jobs.
Yep. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have anything to add on? Yep. So to summarize, as Selena mentioned, we can like keep applying for jobs because companies are still looking for candidates. Do more legal questions, and as Jessica mentioned, maybe like the appropriate mentality is to seek more opportunities locally if you can't make it to here. And yeah, as Livia said that keep networking with like industry people and then still got the chance to get a like virtual internship. Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, Yuval.
Thank you, Selena. So the next question, which has been sort of asked by a lot of people, is so the people are interested to know if your companies have been supportive for you in getting the permanent residency of the country that you're working in. So I think most of the people are working in Australia, but Jessica works from Hong Kong. So have the companies been supportive in getting the PR for the country?
I think Google does support international students for getting the PR. I think but I'm not sure for the intern roles or new grad roles. But I have heard other friends, other colleagues getting PR, and they are like full-time employment. Yeah.
I can talk about my own experience. I started as a student, as an international student in a startup company, and they initially supported me for the visa 457. It was during the time that 457 was still a thing, and they supported to change to permanent residency. So it depends on your performance in the company, and it also depends on the culture of that company as well. And I agree with Selena. I think that they do support sponsoring the candidates for either permanent residency or working visa.
Right. So anyone else have any experience or comments on this? Yeah, Victor.
Yes, so for me, for Revolutionise Sport, yeah, they've been really supportive of me when it comes to the permanent residence. So yeah, they're willing to sponsor me for the visa 482 if anyone know about that. So it's just a temporary what is that, temporary short-term skill or medium skill medium-term skills on the list of from the Department of Home Affairs. So yeah, I think that it's not really a big deal when it comes to the support when it comes to the PR, because apparently all companies wish that you could get the PR so that you could commit to them in the long term. So yeah, it's all about the communication with you and the company. Just express that this is what clearly to them, this is your situation. You wish to get some support from them, and see how it goes from there.
Thank you, Victor. Anyone else wants to say anything?
I'll add something. I'm not sure if anyone's interested how Hong Kong or about permanent residency in Hong Kong, but permanent residency in Hong Kong is usually you can get it when you stay in Hong Kong for 7 years, so it's not really about that. But the company where I'm on a work visa, but if I'm on work visa for 7 years, I can get the permanent residency. But the company doesn't need a sponsor.
Right, that makes sense. So just to sort of summarize, so that we have time for next questions. So most of the companies want to keep good people, and they'll definitely support you for your application. But otherwise, like obviously, the nitty-gritty details depend on the company and the country that you're working from, the government rules and everything. So I'll hand over to Selena for the next question.
Thank you so much, Yubo. So the next question is, so how should we prepare to get good results in the programming challenges? So it's like online assessment and stuff like that. Like what level of legal skills are required to get an intern or grad role at Canva, Google, Jane Street, or Revolutionise Support?
Just briefly mention that you all will be leaving very soon, and then I will be taking the rest of the part of the hosting with Selena.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks to you all for your work.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I can start. So to be honest, when I got my Jane Street intern offer, when I interviewed at Jane Street, I did almost zero lead code. So Jane Street interview is not really about algorithms or dynamic programming. It's super hard lead code questions or anything that's super specific. I think our interviews are mostly on software engineering skills. So there are some problems, and they're not easy, but it's not just about applying algorithms to it. You need to design things, how things interact with each other. And the questions are more kind of real life related to the company itself. So definitely in terms of lead code skills, I had pretty much none. So I can rest assure you, lead code isn't something that can help you much. I think what you should prepare is instead know your basic courses well. So at the NSW, like 1511, 2521, 2511. So just to get, how, some data structures and algorithms, but not like super much better to you. And also, how to design things from 2511, for example, because you know how processes interact with each other. So it's more on just the general software engineering skills really. Not very lead coding.
Yep, thank you, Jessica. Yeah.
I can add a comment on that. Yeah, there is no fixed set or fixed bar that, okay, if you solve these many hard questions at lead code or these many easy question at lead code, you're qualified for let's say Google internship. It's more about how you approach them and how you communicate your solution to the interviewer. And yes, it's helpful to solve some lead code problems, but it's not enough. And you should have a good understanding of the data structure and algorithm that you're working on, and have a good communication skills and all the rest of it. Yeah, this is not something that you can just measure with one direction. There are multiple dimensions into this.
Yep, great insight. Thank you so much. Does anyone else need to add on that?
Yeah, I'll add on what Afshin just said. Even though you can't measure it, I can speak from my experience that I do practice a lot just to go through my job interviews. At the beginning, I was like really bad with like my communication skills. So practicing with your friends and doing the lead code skills on board is really helpful. And just having that community of like encouraging each other to like relearn the data structure to prepare for the interview really prepares for your day, for like the day of your interview. So like try to do mock interviews and do it like and like speak out loud.
Yes. Sorry, Olivia, just a follow-up question. Can I ask like how many lead code problems did you solve to prepare for interview back then?
I don't remember. I haven't touched my lead code for like a long time. But I can say like I do at least like I have like lead code dates with my friends. So at least like every lead code date I'll solve like one or two.
Yeah. And so another follow-up is that so you have a community to help you mock interview back then? Like how did you find the pairs to help you mock interview?
I find them in like they're just my comp friends. So like I find them in my courses and it's like a domino effect. So you invite someone and someone invites more people. And at the end of the day, you always have somebody to do your lead code with.
Sounds cool. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Does anyone else wants to add on that?
Sorry.
Yep, Jessica, yeah.
Just gonna add, I think what Livia said is on point. I think it's also about interview skills. So definitely do mock with your friends, because even though you know everything, even if you think that you know everything, you might end up be like super anxious during the day, stuttering. So just book a room, like in CSC or in Mac engineering. Just book a room with your friend. Just sit there in a pure silence with a whiteboard and try to put a timer, try to do a question, and then just practice. Even if you fail the first few times, it's fine. Just try it again, so then you can prepare for the actual interview.
Thank you so much for the tip. Yeah, so to summarize, as Jessica mentioned, the general software skills are particularly significant. And as Afshin mentioned that we need to have like multi-dimension skills, not like a specific set of bars we need to achieve. And yeah, we need to, as Livia mentioned, that mock interviews are very important. And thank you so much. And let's pass on to Cecilia.
So thank you, Selena. So the next really burning question right now is, what's the biggest tip you would give yourself 3 years ago? I know this is probably a question that requires a little bit of contemplation, so there's no rush. Yeah, I know it's really hard, but whoever wants to jump in first.
Yeah, I would say build up your network. That's for me was I think this is the most important factor when you want to find job in the job market is your network. Try to build up your network. Attend as many as network building events as you can, and try to talk to people. Try to represent yourself. That's pretty important.
Thank you for the insightful advice. And there anyone else like to weigh in for this question?
Be open-minded. I think that's important. I think try as many jobs as you can. Also applies with courses that you do in uni. For example, I know I really like AI. I'm just gonna pursue AI, but why not try other courses? You might end up liking it. So try different opportunities, try different things, because once you get into full-time work, it's often harder to change. It's often harder to try out different things just for fun, because with internships, there's nothing that locks you in 3 months, or with courses, there's nothing to lock you in after the trimester. It's done. So definitely be open-minded about which direction you're going to go.
Yeah, I want to agree on Jessica's comment. I often see people starting their career, for example, I just wanted to find a job and do anything that I can find, and then later realize that, okay, I'm so familiar with this area now that it's pretty hard for me to change, for example. So I would think that really try to find what you like is a really important thing. Like, don't just try, just start with some random area that you don't really want to work on this area for a really long time. I think that would be one of the a hint.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else wanted to share something before we move on?
I'm not sure if it was the best tip, but always like get in early and be proactive from the beginning. Get involved with your community, because that's like your foundation, and then expand from that. That's how I would like advise myself if I would go back to my first year.
Yeah, that's definitely a really useful advice, because there's a lot of first year and second year students here, and certainly will help them in a great way. So just to summarize before we move on to the next question, so there's a lot of insightful points being mentioned. Firstly is to build up networks, attend events, and just to talk to people. And networking is a crucial step to get jobs. And secondly is just to be open-minded, to apply as many things as you like, and then try different courses, because you have limited opportunity as a full-time employee once you stick to a company. And thirdly, just to follow up on that, don't just stick to your comfort zone. Don't just like stay stuck for something you're already familiar with. And fourthly, is like as a first year and second year, especially in earlier year of your university, get involved in earlier, consider your careers earlier. That will also help greatly. Thanks for all the insightful advice. I will pass on to Selena.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. And yeah, the hottest question now is that, is it possible to get an internship without any work nor volunteering experience at the moment? Like, how important is that? Like, yep, Livia?
Yeah, I can start with this one. So I know that in Canva, they don't expect you to come with like 5 years of experience. They know that if you're applying for an intern position, or if it's like a grad position, they're there to help you, to grow you. And like internships are catered and organized to upskill you. But I do think it's more impressive if you do have past experiences, just because that showcases what you already currently know. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't get any work or volunteering experience, but if you don't have any currently, you should start applying, because then your internship might be your next or your first volunteer / work experience. Based on my experience, my first
my first internship in a tech company, I didn't have any experience. So it's definitely like possible for you to get an internship without any experience.
Yep,
And
that's a share about that. Yep, sorry, Victor.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll add on to that as well. Even though if you don't have any experience at all, don't stress too much on that. I mean, you can just build up your own portfolio, build up your GitHub, any project, even just a pet project, anything that can showcase what you can do, what your skills add. Then I guess that some companies, if they're open-minded, they will look into that, the experience bit, and they just look into actually who you are, how you present yourself, what can you do, and what your portfolio is like. And again, I can stress enough that hire for fit and train for skills, especially once you are once you are compatible with the company, they'll look into that, and then they'll build you up. They will give you plenty of opportunities for you to upskill, to train you up. So yeah, don't stress too much in terms of not having any experience. Just focus on yourself, focus on your portfolio, and yeah, you'll be fine.
Yep, thank you, Victor. So does anyone else want to add on that? Yep, so to summarize, past experience is great if you have, but like don't stress too much about it. Try to upskill yourself, because like if you want to apply for internship, they don't expect you to know everything. So yeah, just try to apply. And I just want to pass on to Cecilia.
So thanks, Selena. The next burning question from students, I think is also a good question to close, maybe close this panel, is were you an intern at your current company? When you were an intern, what traits did you look out for to decide if you wanted to continue working there, like as in continue working as full-time? And also, like, I think it's also useful if you are intern at other companies and what traits made you decide to not proceed with them. Will also be really helpful if you are willing to share that.
I can start.
Yeah, thank you.
I was an intern at Jane Street. In fact, twice. I interned twice here.
Yeah.
So the first time I interned, at the end of the internship, I was kind of already, what do you call it? I'm already convinced that I want to work at this place. But then I decided to just come back second time to confirm that I want to leave Australia, because at that point I wasn't very sure whether I wanted to leave Australia or not. Because I thought, I was going to do a permanent residency and so forth and so forth. Anyway, what traits did I look for? I don't know. I think I was quite comfortable when I was here. People are fun. People are great to talk to. The project was very fun as well. I really enjoyed my project. I think by far the most fun thing that I've worked on was my intern project. There's a lot of events, and I know that full-timers also have a lot of events. I remember back then we had a calligraphy class, and then we had some cooking class. So it's just a very fun place to be. And also the fact that it's in Hong Kong, also, what do you call it? Make it even better, because I wanted to travel a lot, and being in Asia means, or being in the middle of Asia means I can just go anywhere freely. Although the pandemic didn't let me yet, so that's for another day. But yeah, I think during the internship as well, we had a lot of classes. We had classes that are not even on software engineering as well. So Kinsler definitely educate us with a lot of bunch of things. So I think that's great. That's great. That is a great place to be, to learn and to have fun.
Right. Thank you. That sounds really exciting. Does anyone else wanted to weigh in? Livia, you were a Canva intern, right?
Yeah, I was an intern as well. So I can talk about my Canva perspective.
Yeah.
I know that just like Jess did, I know that after I finish my internship, I really want to stay in Canva. I think it's mainly because of like the bond and the goal and feedback culture that we have. They've been very supportive from the very beginning. So they recognize the experience gap I had, but instead of just pushing me away, they actually upskilled me throughout that 3 months that I learned so much. So I know that in just a 3 months internship, if I can learn that much, what will happen in like a year and like in 5 years. So I really wanted to like learn even more. Aside from that, we have really exciting like releases and cool projects coming up all the time, and they are never scared to like give me all the challenging tasks. So I really felt like I was into the team from day one. Lastly, I think it's just very exciting to know I'm working on a project that is used by millions of users. Yeah, so that's what happened from my side.
Right, thanks for sharing. Does anyone else wanted to weigh in?
I was not an intern at Google, but I left my previous company because I wanted to actually like look for a bigger platform and learn about some more other things. So I think like that might be one of the reasons why people change jobs or decide to stay or not stay in the current company.
Right, thanks. Yeah, that was very, very insightful. So basically, to summarize it here, those factors are so firstly, as mentioned by Jessica, so basically being comfortable there, and then by the project, and then by the people, and also the extensive training they are offering. And secondly, as mentioned by Livia, is mainly the feedback cultures and then the learning opportunities that you can grow rapidly. And thirdly, as mentioned by Selena, is mainly I think looking for a bigger platform, like looking for bigger impact and bigger scope. So I think those are the reasons people normally look for. And as many students here, you'll probably look for different things, and that's also okay. It's just sharing from their perspectives. I think we are roughly at the end of this. At the end of this event, there's like roughly 6 minutes left. I'll just like offer a closing remark. Firstly, there will be feedback links sent to you by emails. Please fill this out because this is how CSE society knows how we can offer our events better in the future and what we did well, what we could improve. Please feel free to share any feedback you have. It really matters, and we really raise them and then take them really seriously. I think a lot of companies, like basically all the companies here, have shared their careers website about the opportunities they are currently opening. So we will also send that to you. If like any of the our amazing sponsors catches your interest today, feel free to apply to them. And thirdly, we have already asked for approval from some of the amazing panelists and representatives on whether they're willing to share contact information to students. By the way, a shout out to all the panelists. If you still interested to, if you're interested on getting us potentially some students to contact you and talk more about your experience, please email us before tomorrow, preferably. If you don't give approval, we won't share your contact info in any ways. But if you did, we will share your info to students, and then they potentially can reach out to you. So Justin mentioned, I think the panel I think this panel, networking is fairly important. So like it takes this chance as a starting step. And thirdly, as I mentioned, there will be like a list of all the international all the like companies that accept international students, be them in Australia or overseas, that will also be emailed to you. So there will already be 4 resources, I think. Firstly, feedback link, and secondly, contact info of our amazing panelists, and thirdly, all the application website link email to you, and thirdly, all the like a comprehensive list of companies that accept international students. By that being said, if you haven't really registered in this event, please do so by this afternoon. I know some of you probably just click this Zoom link without actually bother to fill in the registration form. The registration form is actually important for us to get funding from ARC. So for the sake of getting resources for yourself and for the sake of us getting more funding from our school, please fill that in, even if this event has already ended. And so this is all the things that will be provided to you. And lastly, about the recording, you may notice that this event is recorded. We won't be releasing recording unless we got all the approval from our sponsors and all the panelists today. So by that being said, if anyone objects the release of recording, we unfortunately couldn't release that. And yeah, the recording, if we do release that will be probably 1 month later, and we will post that on our YouTube and as well as our Facebook channel. So lastly, just really shout out to, lastly and most importantly, I want to shout out to all the amazing panelists. Thank you for your time to join in this panel and provide really helpful advice to students. I know it's also like 9 a.m. at Hong Kong, which is like super early. So thanks for catering for different time zones as well. We know it can be tricky a lot of times. And I'm sure like all of your advice is really helpful for students, and we will like keep in touch for like this year, even more collaboration with your company. So thanks everyone for coming, and yeah, just this meeting probably will be ended in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so Kaichi, do you want to take a photo?
Hi, Kai.
Kai?
I already did. Thank you, guys.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah. So Kai's to take photo is also for us to get fundings. It's all the sneaky ways of getting school fundings. Okay, yeah, so thanks everyone for joining. I hope you have a lovely day and hope this session is really helpful for you. And yeah, please feel free to contact us if you have any further questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks to our organizing team.
See you.
Thank you all.
Bye.